1 second. Make sure that looks good. No, it's the cabinets I used. All right. Let me see. Hello, friends. Sorry for the ice. Hubs is home early. So I'm going to be all out of my element on this typical, like, crazy midweek one. I'm Philly. Welcome to my kitchen. Hey, bud. It's a Monday here, and you know, it has been a Monday. I don't know about the Monday by you, but I feel like, at least here, this Monday has been a Monday. So I am going to have one of the things that I love to do. I don't do very often, not nearly enough, honestly, if I'm being honest. I just said honestly, being honest. I digress. But what I most enjoy having wine is when I'm cooking. So today, being that it's some very Monday, and coffee did not do a good enough job, I'm going to have a glass of wine while I do this live stream, because that is actually one of my favorite. Okay, whoops, I have two things. Wait a second here, my volume was up. That is one of my favorite ways. Hey, Barb.
Case of Mondays.
Welcome. Yeah, this was an especially Monday in our lovely country, so I'm gonna have some wine. So, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And just because I would hate to not share what I'm drinking, this is one we have not had before. It just, I think I had a good review at the place where we purchase. There's two places we go often to purchase, wines. We've not had it before. So we're not going to have an argument because we've already had a very Monday, right, babe? So this is a time that wifey could just be right. Just could be right. She's holding wine because she needs a glass because coffee didn't help today. So now we're going to have a glass of wine.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. Okay is one of my favorite words as a partner. In any event, this is, I believe, from Italy. It's Conte Fine Valadice. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It's a Pinot Grigio. And I think it'll go lovely with what we're making. So we are fancying up the Monday and having a little bit of wine. But honestly, while this would be good to have with the pasta, I just really like having some wine while I cook. Like, that is a treat for me to enjoy a glass of wine while I cook. So I'm going to do it. Monday be damned, right? So here we are. Today, I'm excited. So this is, I'm going to turn off my water because my water is already boiling for my pasta. Again, that's a hack I will always remind you. Before you even start cooking, get that water boiling so that then you can turn it off and it's ready for you, just a little boost, and you can throw your pasta in. As I've mentioned before, I cannot tell you how many times I've made pasta dinners in my past where all of a sudden, like, oh, the pasta water, and yeah, and then you're waiting for the water. So I'm excited because tonight I'm sharing with you a recipe that I kind of just came up with on my own. I was inspired by something I saw years ago on the kitchen, and I kind of thought, ooh, like, let's make that into a pasta. So I'll talk about that in just a minute. But Barb, it is wonderful to see you. You have made, I wish I could really see you, honestly, but thank you for joining me. You have made my Monday a little brighter joining me. So Barb, I hope you are well. I hope you had a good weekend. And Barb, what are you having for dinner tonight? Cheers, by the way. Let me let you know how this is. Ooh, that's very nice.
You know what?
You know, you don't have your mic on.
It was very nice the last time we had it too.
I don't know if he's going to get any dinner tonight. I might just keep it all to myself. It's Monday. I might choose to do that. You all didn't hear him say, but he was, he's trying to get under my thin skin right now that I'm currently entertaining, and said that it was good the last time I had it too. Well, in any event, this is actually quite tasty. I do like a Pinot Grigio. It's not my favorite white wine, but I do like wine with a little character, except for too oaky Chardonnay. Not in that. But Pinots sometimes can be boring, which, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Sometimes Pinots are boring. And this one, I think Pinots are a great entry white wine for someone that's not sure if they like wine, because they're smooth, they're pleasant. Like, they don't make a fuss, but I think once you start enjoying wine, it gets a little bit boring-ish. So this one though I like is it's just a little bit more interesting. It's not like super interesting, but it's just a little perkier. Maybe that's the word I want to use. So, and of course I'm using total sommelier terms, which are not. But this Pinot in particular is a little perkier, so I'm enjoying it. And I think Pinots though are very nice to sip on. So there's certain wines that I enjoy more with foods. Pinots, for the most part, is something you can have with or without food. So I digress. This is not a wine stream. If you joined and thought, I thought we were learning something about pasta and green beans, you are at the right place. I'm digressing with wine because it's been that kind of Monday. So let me put this down and talk about the recipe. So let's see, Barb is making, oh, you're doing pasta too. You're making pasta with peas and cream with Parmigiano Romano cheese. Oh, yum. So both Parmesan and Romano. I love mixing those. Those are very good. And you could do that with this, by the way. You could mix Parmesan and Romano at the end, or you could just put one on instead of the other. I love it. I never liked Chardonnay. And you love Pinot. Wonderful. And Chardonnay. Hey, Archie, how are you? Good. Welcome to the stream. Barbara and I were just talking about wine. So I think I had started drinking some Chardonnay at one point, and again, we are going to get to pasta, but I'm just talking about wine for a second here. So Archie, you'll have to let us digress for a moment, Barb and I. And then I think at one point, I started having some very aggressively oaky Chardonnays, and I was like, ew, and they were probably very inexpensive. By the way, I'm not against inexpensive wines. My husband can attest to the fact that I am a stingy wine buyer. I don't want to go dump a lot of money in wine because it's wine, and while I enjoy it, I want to find a good buy, the best buy, right? So, but I'm pretty sure the ones that turned me off of Chardonnay for a while was a cheap, very aggressively oaky Chardonnay, and I was like, ew. And then what was happening is anytime I'd have maybe even an okay Chardonnay, I would taste that tinge that made it so aggressive the last time, and I was like, I'm out. So, so then we dove into some unoaked Chardonnays, which I highly recommend, Barb, especially if you don't like Chardonnay. Unoaked do not have that oakiness. And oftentimes, if people don't like Chardonnays, it's because of the oak, and maybe it's also like me, it's when they're aggressively oaky and not mellow and kind of warm, huggish, like that kind. But there is an unoaked, and anyways, try that because those are delightful. So, and anyways, once I finally got to that and I could kind of come back and make some wise choices, I will say it, I enjoy a Chardonnay every now and again with the right food. I do feel like Chardonnays they taste best when paired with food that really makes them sing. So, but still don't like aggressive oak. So don't come at me with oak. There we go. All right, so Archie, how are you? And we're having a recipe that I whipped together a few weeks ago. So let me talk about that real quick so we can dive in. And while we are, I'm going to start prepping. So the first thing I'm going to do before I tell you the story, I know y'all came for a story, because I've heard from people saying that I don't talk enough, that I'm a little quiet. And so I decided tonight I'd talk more. Yeah, that's a lie. Y'all know I talk a lot. But in any event, so I'm going to start by actually slicing. So there's a little prep with this. And you could leave it out, but I actually feel like the little prep we're going to do with this helps make it better. So the little prep we're going to do is we are going to slice our green beans lengthwise in two. If you want to go farther than that, be my guest. It would probably only improve it. And by the way, these have already been washed and trimmed, although I think they use that term trimmed lightly because I usually end up trimming some of the ends because they don't pass my inspection. But in any event, and this is 12 ounces, and I'm going to use about 8 ounces of it. So about 3/4 of it. You could use all of it. It would be really green beanie, which would not be a bad thing. And green beanie is a term. It's a real term that I'm sure Hubs is enjoying hearing right now, seeing as he got home a little early. So, but yeah, so all we're going to do is we are going to take these green beans and we are going to slice them lengthwise. Now, do be careful if you're not used to handling the knife. I'm going to actually turn it this way, move these here, because you do need to pay attention. So, and let me just say, what I usually do is I lay it flat, and I can't remember which knife I used when I did it the other week. So I'm gonna start with one that gives me a little more control. And there's a little line that you can see on green beans. See that little line down there? And so if you are like me and sometimes you like a little guide, you know, when you used to cut things out back in grade school and you'd follow the lines, that's basically what you're gonna do, and it helps you line up. And also it gives you a little bit of a ridge that keeps your knife where it should be. So you're gonna take that, and what I find I like to do is I like to start at the one end, and then I bring it down, and I keep my fingers in the middle, and then it goes in half. Now you'll have some of these little pods, bean pods that would kind of come out. Just leave them, they're good. Everyone's invited to the bean party. And what had happened was, let me give you the inspiration now. By the way, Archie, what are you having for dinner? Barb is also having pasta. Oh, hey, Echo Snoops, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. It's so good. We've been chit-chatting a lot on what my posts and things, and I love interacting with people that come to the streams. So welcome. I know you said you had come at the end. I think, was it you that said you came at the end of the last one? But I'm very glad to have you on. And we were talking about what we're having for dinner tonight. Of course, you all know what we're making. I'm making a creamy bean pesto pasta. But I'd love to know what you're having. So Archie, what are you having? Fish. Oh, you already had fish for dinner. So Arch, I'm doing fine, although here in the States it's been quite a Monday. So I'm having a glass of wine while I'm drinking. Because, you know, sometimes a glass of wine is just warranted, even on a Monday. But in any event, yes, so you had fish. I had that fish. By the way, Archie is a fabulous cook and chef, past chef, still a chef. Always a chef, and I saw this like a little video clip he showed of this really crispy fried fish, and it made me drool because I love a crispy fried fish. So if you have not checked him out yet, be sure to do so because he is a wonderful follow. You'll learn so much from him, and he just makes wonderful food. So, but yes, what are you having? Oh, Drew! Oh my goodness. I think you're all making my Monday. Did you all know that I was having a hard Monday and everyone's like, hey, we're gonna come cheer Phil up. So Drew, it's so good. I've not seen you lately. First of all, how are you, Drew? Because I feel like you've fallen off my radar. And I'm so glad you popped in because now I gotta come find you and check out what you've been up to. But how are you, my friend? Yes, we are doing well. And Drew, I have a question. What are you having for dinner tonight? Because we all know what I'm making, this creamy green bean pesto pasta. And I'm going to tell you the story of how it came to be in just a minute. But, oh, I'm so excited. We have like a little party here. I wish I could all pour you some wine. Archie says, Phil, who said you don't talk enough? They have their hearing aids turned down. Yeah, I was joking, my friend. I was definitely being sarcastic with that one. In fact, when I said it, I think Hub's eyes rolled twice back in his head. So you can see, by the way, especially because I am multitasking, talking, looking, and cutting, you do want to be careful. This is not something you're going to breeze through quickly, although I think I got quicker the more I did it. Plus, when they're curved like this, they make it a little more tricky. Just try to get them so they'll lay flat. And please, by all means, do not cut yourself. So if you're worried about your knife skills, maybe you keep the green beans whole. I'm just going to say that I don't want any of my friends cutting themselves. But if you're just patient, this can be quite therapeutic. In fact, I'm going to just split this one down there. And what enables to happen, you're probably like, well, why are we doing this? Why are we cutting these? The reason we're cutting these thinner is when these cook a little bit, we're going to still keep them kind of crisp tender. But when they cook for a few minutes, actually, I take that back. They're probably not, because I like green beans a variety of ways. I like them, like sometimes just barely blanched, like where they're pretty crisp. These are going to not be soggy soft, but they are going to have still some bite in them, but they are going to be a little tender because what happens is then these become part of the pasta. So the pasta we're using, by the way, is bucatini. And get your favorite brand. This is a brand that I can get easily. It's Delalo, and I don't use a lot of Delalo's other pastas, but their bucatini is nice. And one of the things I like about it is, and you can tell with the pasta, see how it's not shiny? It's got and you can't really, I don't know if you can tell, but if you feel this, it's rough. And the roughness is showing how the pasta was extruded. And so it actually helps any sauce cling to it a little bit. So that's a good sign of pasta that's going to do well in the sauce. And then what I like about bucatini is they have a little tiny hole right there. So it just makes it kind of fun. And we're going to use a ½ pound for 2 entree servings. If you want a smaller serving, and these are pretty good servings, you'll see, you can always make it less. So maybe you could get 3 smaller entree servings out of this. But for Hubs and I, especially with the beans, like it's nice and filling. That's one of the things I like about it. So it's going to use 4 ounces of pasta per person. So you determine what you like to eat and what your appetite is like. So for lunch, maybe this would be 4 servings even, right? So let me tell you the story, by the way. So what had happened was a few years ago, and what you all know, one of the shows I do enjoy watching, in fact, I just watched it this weekend because we were behind on some episodes, is I like watching a show called The Kitchen on the Cooking Channel. And I actually save it to my library, which just means like you're putting in your DVR. And so then I can watch it at my leisure. So in any event, this was a few years ago, and one of the chefs named George Zakarian, I think they call him GZ, he just did something with beans that I was like, wow, it really gave like a really nice treatment to beans, and he did it with pesto. And it really elevated just the lowly green bean. And it was as a side dish, like as a veggie. And what he did was he first, I don't think he added pasta. I'm trying to think if he added any pasta. I really don't think he did, but maybe he did. But what stuck in me was the green beans and the pesto. And he added a little butter before he added the green beans, which had been blanched, and the pesto. And I just loved that. And I think I even did that once as like a side. So in any event, we had some green beans a couple weeks ago that need to be used, and I don't like wasting food. So I'm like, what can I do with them? And green beans, honestly, they can get a bit boring. And I do like to roast them, whether it's in the air fryer or just in the oven, because it gives them a little bit more flavor. I'm not opposed to steamed or blanched green beans, but they're just they're a little bit boring, No offense, but they're a little boring. And in any event, I'm like, what am I going to do with them? So I was just like, and I didn't really have a protein out. And so I'm like, okay, we're going to make this a vegetarian meal. I was not doing a vegetarian meal on purpose. And see, this guy's going to be hard. So if any are like really curved, just cut them in half and then do them. But in any event, so, and I thought about that, those green beans and pesto. So I thought, ooh, I'm going to make a pesto pasta with green beans. And I want it to be with my bucatini. That's when I used the first half of the bucatini. And I wanted to make these more malleable once they went into the boiling water. I knew I was going to boil them after the pasta had begun cooking. That way I could keep not dirty a lot of dishes. And in fact, when I made it, it still was a 2-pot meal, but I used a different pot to do the pesto mixture that we're going to be making in a minute. So in any event, I keep saying in any event, I apologize. I think I've said it 5 times. Maybe y'all could keep track and we can give a prize at the end. But so that's what I did. I decided that's what we're going to make. Now the thing is, just like any of you cooks, when you are making something, you have to see what you have in your fridge, like what is available. And we don't always have the stuff available that we're hoping we'll find when we're ready to make dinner. One of the things I did not have available is heavy cream. I sometimes have heavy cream, like if I'm getting it for a recipe and then I might have some leftover for a while. But by and large, I don't just keep heavy cream in my fridge. Maybe you do. And if you do, maybe that's what you would like to use to make the creamy pesto. I did not. One ingredient I always have, or I should say 95% of the time have in my fridge, is cream cheese. And I often have a light cream cheese, or I forget what they call the one that's in the brick. It's like Newfunchal or something like that. But I often have this, just light cream cheese, spreadable. And the reason is that it's just first of all, it's easy to use, whether you're getting a bagel. It's just easy to add for a recipe if I want something creamy, and it just keeps a while. So that's what I had. So then I was like, okay, so we're going to make this work. So I'm going to show you what I did, and it came together. And I'll tell you, Hubs is not so much a green bean guy, and he was very complimentary to this meal. And he does He's a sweetie, even though he's being a little snarky today. He's a sweetie, and he compliments really all my meals, to be honest. But this one particular, he was like, this is really good. So when I get this is really good, I know that that's like a little bit more elevated than just a normal. This is really yummy, sweetie. So yeah, so I thought, that's good to know. And then, and I don't remember, Aiko, was it you? I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been you or somebody else had said, oh, and I can go by Pat. Yes, Aiko, I'll try to remember that you're Pat, but I might forget. So I will try. So Pat, it might have been you that asked me if I would do it at a future stream. And I don't remember if it was you or not. So if you recall, let me know. And I thought to myself, you know what, I will. Because, I love sharing recipes that I'm really excited about. But when I hear you're excited about something, I love complying with that. In fact, Archie's daughter, sweet daughter Amy, had asked if I would do a paella, which I'd never done paella. And so I don't know, it's been a year or so now. And so I was like, sure. And so I did my first paella on a live stream. Pretty gutsy and I don't know if it's gutsy or silly or stupid, but I did it. And since then I've made another paella, and I just for Hubs and I mean, it was one of the best things I did. So that's all to say that if you want something, please let me know you're interested in it, and I am going to be happy to try to figure out a way to fit it in. It might not be this quick. Like this was a pretty quick turnaround. I heard someone interested, and I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be good. But it might be in a month or two, depending on the food. But I really do like knowing what you're all interested in. So yes, and I've been just chatting. So let's see what you're all saying. Oh my goodness. Oh, Aiko and Snoops were our dogs. I love it. Oh, what kind of dogs were they, Pat? And let me see. Oh my, wait. Chef Archie, you're a marshmallow? That's news to me. Barb, you're being very good with your tongue there. She's like, I'm just going to make sure I don't say something. You guys are funny. So let me see here. So Pat, what are you having for dinner? Barb is having pasta. Archie had, he had fish. And Drew, Drew might have been busy. He might have already left. So Drew, if you're still here, let me know what you're having for dinner. But Pat, definitely let us know what you're having tonight. All right. So that is the story of this recipe. Okay, so I've gotten through. So this does take a minute, So put on your favorite music, pour a glass of wine, and let me show you what this looks like. I don't need this knife. Let me turn this back on so it can come back to a boil. So let me show you what these beans look like. And you're going to look and you're like, they're not very attractive. And that's the first thing I thought of when I did it. So you can see, they're just cut in half. And indeed, they're not very attractive because you see like the innards and the light green pods. But you know what? They taste so good. And you all saw the pictures of when I made it, or at least I think a lot of you did. And what's nice is these just become more bendable, and they really kind of marry the pasta. So it really makes for a lovely pasta if you're using long pasta especially. So let me put this back here. So I got my water back up to a boil. I've already salted it. So once it's back up a boil, we are going to put the bucatini in. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes. I find that, and it says 7 for al dente. I find that it's always off in mine. And by the way, I'm not using a big pot. One of the things I like to do sometimes is use just a big pan. And so there's a couple of things that's nice about that. First of all, I find that it brings to a boil a lot quicker because you're using less water and it's more narrow. So it's kind of a good quick hack. And sometimes I will just use more of a pot for the shorter, stubbier pasta. But for the long stuff, I think it's really nice to have a long pan. I've already salted it, and we're going to put this in, and then 4 minutes after, I'm going to put these in. okay? So that's what our plan is going to be. So it has come back to a boil. You can see it there. And so these are going to go in. I'm just going to get this spread out. And the only thing you want to do is just want it with pasta. You want to get moving first, and then you'll tend to it in just a minute, just to make sure nothing's sticking. I'm going to put my timer in for 4 minutes. There we go. So when the timer goes off, we are going to be adding our green beans to there, and then they're going to cook together until it's time to toss with the sauce. So, and in fact, I'm just thinking out loud, I do need a strainer for this because we're going to be dumping all of this out into a strainer. And the other thing I want to do is I want to set aside some pasta water to help with our sauce. So I'm going to get out, this I do as a reminder. I could just use a ladle, but what I tend to do is, I don't know why this just works for me. You totally can use a ladle, but I just tend to get one of my little cup measures. I put it here as a visual reminder that I don't want to forget to get a little pasta water out. Pasta water is liquid gold, and it helps you make the sauce come together and helps you achieve the consistency you're after. So now let's get started on this sauce. So we're going to come right here. I'm going to bring you all around. Here we go. Here we are. We're going to get this sauce going. Let me see. Okay. All right, there we are. I'm going to actually turn it this way. Okay. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this turned on and get some butter melting in here. And I'm going to put it on medium heat. This tends to run a little hot, so I might need to turn it down a little bit. So it's on 5 right now, but this one does tend to go a little warm. So in here, I'm going to be putting a tablespoon of butter. There we go. And by the way, the whole recipe, I wrote down all of my amounts and put it down below. So this is a Philly recipe, so everything's down below of what I did. I'm going to get that butter going. And to that butter, we are going to be adding some garlic and some red pepper flakes. Now, you may absolutely mince some garlic, but this I'm trying to show is like a typical weeknight meal for me. And so oftentimes I will use this for a weeknight meal. It's a time saver, and I think it has good flavor. So there's our butter. I'm going to just get probably about a garlic clove or so. I know there's some garlic already in the pesto, but I find adding a little fresh garlic really, I don't know, bumps it up. And then it's like a pinch of red pepper flakes. Now this you do to your taste. I'm not looking to make it spicy, but I'm looking to add some flavor. In this case, I'm going to be using a ready-made pesto. And so, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. There we go, and it's getting pretty quick. So I'm going to actually get my little, see this got a little warm. So I'm going to turn this down to a 4, by the way. I'm just getting that worked into there. I'm turning that down. I actually turned it down to 3 right now because that went pretty quick. And then to this, I'm going to be adding right away, because I need to get moving on it, about a half cup of cream cheese. I used a light. You could use regular, and you could use regular cream cheese. I know this is the spreadable, but that is not necessary. And so what we're looking for this to do is for this to melt down. And this is going to give our creamy element. So that takes just a minute. So what I don't want is for the butter to brown a lot. It did get a little brown, and that'll be fine. So that's why you want to watch your temperature. So just kind of watch it and get that cream cheese in there so it can start melting down. Now, if you want to make homemade pesto, wonderful. Can I come over and have some? And I do know how to make homemade pesto, but it is not a weeknight meal for me unless I've already made it. But there are a couple pesto that I like buying at the store. One of them is Trader Joe's. Oh, that is our timer. So I'm going to leave that go a second. I'm going to just toss my pasta over here. And I'm going to add my green beans. Actually, you know what? I'm going to let it go one more minute. My pasta's not quite right, so I'm going to let it go one more minute, and then I'm going to add it. Okay, so you can see this is melting. And I'm going to take my whisk, my rainbow whisk arch. I'm just going to get this kind of worked out like that. Okay. There we go. Excellent. Now at this point though, I can grab some pasta water. So I need it not only for when my pasta is done, I also need it right now because I want to loosen this up a bit. Because again, I didn't have heavy cream, right? So I'm going to loosen it up with some pasta water. And that makes a nice thickening agent because there's starch in there already. And I can loosen this up. So you can see all of a sudden, I'm making my cream cheese more like heavy cream. Like how cool is that? Just going to touch more. So I don't have a right amount. I'm looking for consistency. So let me show you the consistency I'm looking for with this. There we go. Let me show you. So you can see it's just kind of like a nice thick sauce there. And I do need to season this. So let me get my salt and pepper. Now I have salt already in the pasta water, so I'm not adding too much there, but I do want to add a little pepper, and I'm going to turn this down at this point. So now I'm going to I'm going to just turn this off because we need to wait till everything's done. My other timer went off, so now I'm adding my green beans to my green beans to my pasta water. So let's bring you around for that. Let me bring you around for that. Whoopsie, don't want to get caught up. So here's my pasta water. I'm going to add my green beans. So they've been cooking now 5 minutes. I think it was more like 5 and 3. I was trying to remember. 4 just did not seem enough. And I also did not want to overcook the green beans. So you can see I'm just putting them in the pasta water. Okay. And again, you're going to determine this based on the pasta you're cooking and the time left. I think, redoing this the second time, I would add your green beans in the last 3 minutes. So now I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. Whoops, that's 30. We don't want 30. There we go. Okay. And then that is good to go. So this is going to stay here and cook, and the pasta is going to finish, and the green beans are going to cook, and then we're going to dump this into the colander, setting aside some pasta water to have everything come together. So now let's go back to our sauce. So a lot is happening quick, but that's what makes this a great weeknight meal because it comes together super fast. All right, so now our pesto. So the 2 pesto I like using are Trader Joe's, which has, of all things, a kale pesto, a kale basil pesto, and it is fabulous. And it's actually vegan, oh my goodness. And it has such amazing flavor, I'm kidding you not. So that's one of the ones I really love. But then as far as supermarket, this one is not bad either. It's not fresh, but it isn't bad when I say that. And it's actually quite good. It's just not the best, if that makes sense. But for a weeknight meal, these are time savers. So now I'm going to be adding about a 1/3 cup of pesto. So that should be about a 1/3 cup. Just eyeballing it. I'll leave that in case we need to do any more. We're going to whisk, whisk, whisk. And you see there you get your creaminess. There we go. And then I'm going to taste for flavor. There we go. Let's see how we are. Oh, good flavor. Very yummy. Yum, yum, yum. And I'm telling you, what's coming through is that little bit of punch from the red pepper flakes. Again, it's not spicy, but just has a little bit of background. And then the garlic. The garlic just adds another little freshness to it. The other thing we are going to need that I forgot to get out is I want some lemon juice. Lemon juice is just going to help brighten this up as well. So we are going to add just a squeeze of that. I think I put like 1/4 of a lemon would be probably how much I used. So let me get that out. You have it out of the fridge. And this is one that's already had some squeezed. You see it's a little squishy. So it's got about 1/4 left. Make sure I don't have any seeds. I have. So I'm just going to add, oh, we do have some seeds. Look at that. I knew that was going to happen. 3 seeds. Okay, well, you know, you get what you get. Oh, no, we have 5 seeds. Oh, wow. Anyone else like to join the party? So there we go. So let me get those seeds out. I'm going to need a fork to best do that. Let's see, get all those seeds out. I know you could do it through your hand, but I don't know. I just don't like that. So get those seeds out. There we go. Okay. No matter. Oopsie, let me tighten, oh, now it's making a mess here. I'm just gonna stir this. Now, you can see this is quite thick, so I'm gonna wait and see how this does going into my pasta after we drain, into my pasta and green beans. And then depending upon what we need, I want some more pasta water. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn off my stove here. I'm gonna bring you around here so you can see what I'm doing. Actually, no, I'm gonna bring you over here. Nope, oh my goodness, sorry. I don't want to make you motion sickness there. Okay, let's do this first. So the first thing I want to do, because I don't want stuff to overcook, is I'm going to take this and dump it into my colander. Oh, and I forgot to take out, I knew I was going to do that. I forgot to take out more pasta water. There we go. Don't need any green beans. There we go, there's my pasta water. And I'm going to dump. Okay. I'm going to put this back over. And then I'm going to bring you all over so you can see how we have this all come together. And I can turn off that daggone timer that is just beeping. Let's bring you back here. All right. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to, doesn't really matter. Here's my pasta water, by the way, right there. I'm going to dump my pasta and beans back in the pot. There we go. I'm going to take my sauce and get that back in the pot. Just a second. Still have those lemon seeds that are on there. 1 second. And we are about ready. I mean, this is all coming together quite quick. Putting my creamy pesto. Now, if at any point you're like, hey, I'd like to have more pesto than that, then add a little more pesto. Like, this is one of those things that you measure with the heart, but that's just about, what I did that other day. So if you want it more pesto-y than creamy, then adjust accordingly. There we go. Put this in here, turn off that timer, and then we're going to toss. And to see, yeah, I can already tell I'm going to need some pasta water because it's a little thick. So I'm getting some pasta water in there. I'm also going to put a little bit of heat here. So just get it low, just so everything can come together. Now, one of the things you learn in Italy, and I've also learned this from cooking shows, is in Italian culture, they want pastas to be just dressed. They don't want them to be overdressed. In other words, having a bowl of sauce with a little pasta is definitely not the Italian way. So that's something to keep in mind, that you're looking to dress it just enough. I'm just going to tidy this up over here while this is coming together, because we are going to be eating toot sweet. Just get that and that. You're like, what is she doing? She's just tidying over here so I can show you the final ta-da. So give me 1 quick second while I finish, and that way it'll be easy. There we go. I feel like I'm doing the 10-second tidy. That was from the big comfy couch my kids used to watch when they were little. All right, there we go. So again, you're deciding consistency. Again, it seems a little thick, but I also stepped away from it. So the good news is if you feel like you make it too thin, don't be worried about it. Just let everything marry for a little bit, and it'll thicken up. Pasta is great that way, especially any creamy kind of sauce. Now there's already cheese in here from the pesto, but who doesn't love a little more cheese? So I'm going to add just a little bit more cheese, and then we're going to add a little more to the top. So let me just get this. Okay, very nice. So you can see it has a nice consistency. There we go. I'm just going to do it all because I'm adding cheese, so we can't go wrong. Let me get some cheese. I had some that was grated from the other day, so I'm going to just add this. And then we'll put some more cheese. Oh my, I'm making a real mess. We'll put some more cheese on top once we get it in the bowls. So there we go. So you can see how the beans, they just cling. So your veggies are interspersed. Let me show that to you. See? Your veggies are interspersed. Now, when I made it the first time, I used almost the whole bag. There were a couple of beans that weren't as nice looking, so I didn't use those, but mine was even more veggie oriented. And in fact, so much so that we actually had creamy pesto beans that were just left over that we didn't even eat at dinner time. I mean, it was a great way to eat your veggies, a great way to veg up things. So let me bring this over here. And you know what? I'm gonna plate this up. And that's all. Like, it's so easy. You know, the time savers are having some pesto. You know, so maybe you have some great pesto from a store or a market nearby that's fresh pesto, great. But if not, there's at least two options, one from Trader Joe's and one from, most I think stores have Rana, that are tasty too. And we're zhuzhing it up, you know, so it's not like we're just having, oh, I got to say zhuzh, his favorite word. So I'm just gonna plate up one, I'll plate the other one after we go off stream. So then to plate it up, let me bring the other fork. We'll add a little bit more cheese. But what's nice is that I think what I like about it, and I love just a regular pesto, but when you make it creamy, especially with a veggie, you know, think veggies don't have any fat, right? So when you add that little bit of extra fat, it just makes the pasta a little more succulent, and I don't know, it definitely feels more like a treat. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about it, because you didn't feel like you were being good. And you were being good. You're eating a lot of veggies there, which is really good for us. You know, oftentimes in recipes, let me just get that off. And at restaurants, you know, they don't always give you a ton of veggies, and veggies are good for you. So I'm going to take a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and then everything else you can adjust how you want. You know, as much cheese as you want to put in, as much red pepper, you could leave it out. If you don't want the garlic, like if Hubs was making this, he probably wouldn't have added the extra garlic. But this is one of those times that I do. And in fact, he complimented the last time. So I thought, he said nothing about there being extra garlic in there, so I'm going to keep it in. But that's all she wrote. So let me show it to you, the final product. And look how beautiful that is, right? So now let me show you by light, because I know my kitchen doesn't have a lot of good light. So I'm going to bring y'all over. Let me show you. By our window, you can get a much better idea. So see, gorgeous. How pretty. How pretty is that? Oh, yes, I just saw you pop up. So this is the creamy green bean pesto pasta. And again, I did it with bucatini. You can do it with whatever pasta you like. But the long pasta really does make it special. I'm not going to lie. I think it really, I don't know, it just marries well. Cutting those green beans in half. We're a little bit wonky again. 1 second. All right, so Hubs, you want to come taste?
Sure.
So welcome, DS. You're talking about antibiotics? Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. And whips. Oh my goodness, what did I happen upon? Hello. Oh my gosh, Andy, DS says hello.
Hi, DS.
So let's get a bite. Nope.
Oh.
It says cheese on it.
Oh.
And get some bean. You were, oh my goodness. You were having some trouble, love. You know what? He really wants a spoon, don't you?
No.
Yes, you do. I've been trying to wean him off the spoon. Ready?
There we go.
It doesn't taste like you're being good, does it?
Are we being good?
This is goodish.
Goodish.
Meaning it's not like we're eating just green beans, but we have a little bit of pesto, a little bit of light cream cheese.
That's pretty good.
But isn't that yummy? And a
The,
lot of green beans.
There's a little, did you do like a,
A little red pepper.
yeah, red pepper.
Look at all those green beans in that bite. does not disappoint.
That's
It's
really good.
quick, it's easy, inexpensive. I mean, the pesto, the Rana is not that expensive. A good pesto from a market would be more, but you could also make your own.
Don't
But
s- don't
it's
sleep.
just, it's a little fancy.
You
Like,
have, no, you have a piece of cheese. Yeah, there you go. Just trying to help.
but really good. I mean, I highly recommend it. It's just very yummy. It's just, I don't know, it's just like a nice way to have pasta and veggies.
Yeah.
So
Well, the red pepper is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I think the red pepper awakens it, but it awakens it. It wakes it up a bit, and as does the fresh lemon juice. Just those, because this isn't a fresh pesto, meaning like it's, shelf stable in a refrigerator. I feel like those elements really help wake it up and give it a little more. Not that you couldn't do that also to a Market's really good pesto. I would try it first and see if it needed it. But I know for something like that, it really does help wake it up and make
really
it
good.
taste special.
I like it.
Well, my goodness, Pat, Archie, Barb, DS, Drew, I think that was everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hub's in black because he's lost his wallet again.
Yes. No, he's. But thank you so much for joining us again. I have forgotten what our next stream is, so now I got to take a quick peek so I can see when it is, because you know me, I have totally forgotten. So let me go here real quick and go to my page. Hello. Oh, there we go. By the way, if you love content like this, please make sure and like, subscribe, and share. Subscribe so you don't miss anything, but share to others that you think would like this recipe. And next is going to be on the 17th, which is a Sunday at 1. And I am making sure he's there because you don't have to be on the whole time, but you are going to help taste them. Because I'm trying out some cottage cheese trends, very different recipes, like they're all very different things. And I want them to see what you think of them taste-wise as well as me. So
Like cottage cheese.
using cottage cheese in a recipe, not just cottage cheese and fruit.
I love cottage cheese.
And he loves cottage cheese. But like this is used in a different way.
like
And I
really
found
strange.
there's 4 I found very curious
Okay.
and I wanted to try. So
When's
that's
that?
coming. That's next week. This coming Sunday, Sunday the 17th at 1 p.m. So that is coming up. And by the way, if you haven't checked it out yet, I dropped a video earlier this month of a microwave rice cooker that worked really well. So if you want to find that video that was dropped and check that out, that would be great. And that's about it. So I hope you all have a great week. I hope your Monday or your Tuesday is better than today's Monday was for me. And cheers to y'all and happy eating. And until we eat again, bye friends.